I'm Dr. B, and yes, I'm a real ER doctor, so you may be wondering, what am I doing here in this space? Well, after years of pain from sports injuries, I listened to my doctor and had to pivot into a career that would keep me off my feet as much as possible. I also have a degree in finance, and so it was a natural transition to join Verified Investing. I'll share my prescription for becoming a successful investor right here on the Market Pulse.
Welcome to the Market Pulse. I'm Dr. B, and today we're going to be looking at the markets. All right, we're going to be actually looking at the current status of the markets, a little different from our normal episodes, right? Typically we go through education, but I think it's important. There's some changes that I'm seeing here that I think you should all be aware of. Let's go over to the charts. All right, so starting off with NASDAQ NDX, right? So this is the NASDAQ 100 index. And you can see here that I have a very nice parallel channel that I've found. Here are the COVID lows, 2021 highs, 2022 lows, right? So that gives us our 3 points. And look at where the NASDAQ got rejected, right here at about just above 20,000 on the NDX. And you can see here that if this continues lower, we could end up here around 13,000 on the NASDAQ. That's a 30% drop, okay? 30% drop on the NASDAQ is what the charts are telling us. And if you take the distance from here to here, right, the high to the low, this was about 1 year. So I'm looking at, in the next year, for this to try to trade down into this area and probably end up mid-2025, all right, mid-2025 around this level, about a 30% drop. And that's if we see the economy in a recession, we would likely go down to those levels. Typically, look back at history. As soon as interest rates start to get cut, all right, the market rallies a little bit, and then a couple rate cuts in, that's when you see the market start to roll over. So what may happen is you may see a little move up here and then a move lower. So that's the NASDAQ. I really wanted to show you that. I was showing Gareth and the guys that this weekend. Take a look at the SMH. So this is the semiconductor ETF. This has NVIDIA, AMD, SMCI, all of these big companies in it. And you can see this big trend line here spanning back from 2021, these pivot highs. And you can see this blew through here higher with the move in NVIDIA and a couple other stocks like SMCI. Could this be a epic bull trap? Too early to tell. But this is what I'm looking at. Could this be a bull trap? If you don't know what I'm talking about in terms of bull traps, go back to my previous episodes and watch. But if this breaks, okay, this trend line is what I'm watching right here. And again, my line is not perfectly straight. But if we break this trend line and this becomes a bull trap, this will likely move lower, probably somewhere into this area, about $160 on the SMH. Again, we're currently at about 256, so I'm looking at $160 on the SMH, which would bring the semis, down significantly and probably cause an overall rollover in the markets. So very important to be watching the SMH, the NASDAQ. This is very much a tech rally, a semiconductor rally. Okay, let's now move on to NVIDIA. All right, so we're going to be talking about NVIDIA here. And you can see that NVIDIA, all right, this is the weekly chart. All right, I have the weekly and the daily chart. And you can see right here, weekly chart. This is a topping tail. Right here, topping tail. Okay? Topping tail on the weekly. So the weekly charts tend to take much longer to play out. But anytime you see a topping tail on the weekly after such a big run, you have to be concerned about a larger pullback. And you can see here We got our 50% retrace, okay, and now a huge move lower on NVIDIA, trading at about $122 per share after the stock split. Just like the SMH, I'm looking at this line here. If we break this line after this topping tail, I'm looking for NVIDIA to come down, potentially down into the $50 range. Believe it or not, $50. We absolutely could see prices in the $50 range of NVIDIA. Go back to the dot-com boom and look at those stocks. They fell 75%, some of them. So even more, okay? So taking a look at the daily chart on NVIDIA as well, just to kind of get a little more granular, all right, you can see that we did have this, this reversal candle right here, and then a lower high. This is a lower high, all right, lower high, and that is bearish, okay? This was a lower low here. This was a lower low than this, okay? So lower high, lower low. Again, we could be creating a bull flag. We very well could be, but unlikely when you see the NASDAQ at major resistance, the SMH at major resistance, all of these things looking like the markets are likely to roll over here. There's also a lot of uncertainty now with President Biden dropping out of the race. There's the attempted assassination on Trump. So there's a lot of other events that were unexpected that are now causing the markets to be a little bit, on edge, okay? This is the SMCI, so another semiconductor company, much smaller than NVIDIA, okay, but still a large company, multi-billion-dollar company. This is the daily chart. I've been watching this upsloping parallel for months now. You can see that, again, upsloping parallels are bearish. They tend to break to the downside, all right? I do expect this to continue lower, probably somewhere into this area before we get a bounce, about 650. But this will likely continue lower as the SMH rolls over, as AMD rolls over, and NVIDIA continue to roll over, okay? What's really interesting here is, we are also seeing a topping tail on AMD that is playing out very, very nicely. Okay, so we talked about the topping tail on NVIDIA, okay, on the weekly, but check out the topping tail on the daily here on AMD and look at how it's playing out. Here's your topping tail, all right, topping tail. All right, and look at the big fall after the topping tail was put in, from around $230 to $140, all right? So this can absolutely happen to NVIDIA, although it'll probably take some time for it to roll over. I also see a parallel channel here, okay, that's starting to break. See this parallel channel? This will likely continue lower here, probably getting to sub 100, okay, or maybe just above 100. I see some support in this area, which is right around 110. All right, this is where I'm looking for a bounce on AMD, and at that point, I'd probably be looking to go long. All right. Speaking of other stocks that are falling, we did have this recent amazing run on Tesla and now a pullback. But I just want to point this out. This is absolutely incredible, this 140 level here on Tesla. And I had these pre-drawn in so you could see. So you can take a picture of this and go back and study this. But look at this pivot low from COVID, this pivot low from end of 2022, early 2023. And all of these lines converging. I'll actually be making a course on this, okay, about these, what I call hidden trend lines, all right, and it really does work. Again, the 140 level, look at all these lines converging in this area, and this is why it bounced right here, about 100% run on Tesla. Now you're seeing a pullback here, But these are the things that we like to talk about and show how they really play out so well. So yeah, keep an eye on Tesla there. In terms of Bitcoin, I'll show you the chart here. Potentially forming a bull flag. All right, a bull flag just under previous all-time highs. You can see here's the previous all-time high. This very well could be a bull flag, and even though the markets are struggling now with the ETFs in play, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a big influx here into Bitcoin and a breakout to 80, 90, 100,000. I am still bearish on Bitcoin. However, there's a couple bullish factors. Bull flag forming, enormous cup and handle forming. Okay, so we really may be in a huge bullish pattern to the upside. And the measured move on this would be take this distance here to this distance. Okay, so let's just calculate this. So this is about, let's just say 70,000. Let's say this is 20,000, so a $50,000 gain there. So we would, I'd be expecting a price of about $120,000 on Bitcoin if this pattern does play out. The only concern is that Bitcoin is still a risk asset, and if the much larger financial markets roll over, they will take Bitcoin with it. Okay, and Bitcoin will likely crater down here, down at least to probably these levels here, probably $30,000-$40,000 on Bitcoin. So keep an eye on that as you take a look at the crypto space. In terms of CrowdStrike, it is down about 30% over the past several trading days. And I just wanted to point this out. This is a trade that I took this morning in the Apex Day Trading Room. If you're not a member, join. It's about $399 a month, and you can pay for your monthly subscription with one trade. Okay, this stock was down, I think, around 10% at this point. Okay, down about 13% down here after falling lower. This is a trade I took based on my 1-minute scalpel methodology. Go to the website, okay, check it out, the 1-minute scalpel. Tons of people have purchased it. I've gotten great feedback. Okay, this is a course that took me years to develop. All right, while I was still practicing in the ER, I would be developing this strategy in between my ER shifts. Okay, so I'd be taking care of people with heart attacks and strokes. I'd be exhausted. I'd come back at 2 in the morning. I was looking at charts. I'd be up at 7 a.m. looking at these charts before I went in, hustling for years and years and years, developing this. And this is what it has done. It has allowed me now to get into these charts and profit, okay, in the market. This is a 1.5% gain here on CrowdStrike. I called this in the Apex Day Trading Room. I entered right about here. And if you take the course, you'll understand why I entered there, okay, and why I exited where I did. So very, very cool. I hope you enjoyed that. And, come back next time for the Market Pulse. We always have interesting education for you to learn. So I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Market Pulse, a bit different from what we normally do, but still a lot of education there. We talked about topping tails, which Gareth teaches us in the Winning Trader series. We talked about that falling wedge that I discuss in my 1-minute scalpel. I hope you enjoy these updates on the market. I do think that we are potentially in the beginning of a downturn in the market. Very tough to say. The market has fooled me before. It will fool me again. But I just use charts and probabilities to help guide me in the markets. Again, I hope you enjoyed that episode. We'll see you again next week. Take care.